I already signed it.
Mark?
I think he signed it as well.
Thank you.
Right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The August 27, 2026 meeting of the Medford Planning Commission will now come to order. Kaylee, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Rachel Bennett.
Here.
Larry Busco.
Here.
David Culbertson. Mark McKechnie.
Here.
EJ McManus.
Here.
Marcy Pierce. Jared Pulver.
Here.
Jeff Thomas.
Here.
Jim Wallen. Roll has been taken.
Okay, we have a quorum. Tonight's agenda is available on the city's website for those watching from home. The order of business this evening will consist of consent calendar and written communications, minutes, public hearings, and reports. Item 20 is the consent calendar and written communications. Have the commissioners reviewed the consent calendar and written communication items? And are there any questions? If not, may I have a motion?
Chair, I move to adopt the consent calendar and written communications as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Kaylee, may we have a roll call, please?
Rachel Bennett.
Yes.
Larry Busco.
Yes.
Mark McKechnie.
Yes.
EJ McManus.
Yes.
Jared Pulver.
Yes.
Jeff Thomas.
Yes.
We have 6 yeses.
All right, motion passes. Item 30 is the minutes. The minutes from the Planning Commission meeting of August 13, 2026 will be considered at the September 10, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. Item 40 is oral requests and communications from the audience. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to address the Commission on matters that are not on today's agenda. If you wish to speak, please come forward to the podium, sign in, and tell us your name and your concern. Not seeing anything, we'll move ahead. Tonight's public hearing, item 50.1, will be conducted as a legislative hearing, and items 50.2 through 50.5 will be conducted as quasi-judicial hearings. If you plan to testify, please listen carefully to the following prepared statement regarding the procedural rules that govern these hearings. The statement will be read by Mr. Alan Moreland, Deputy City Attorney.
I'm going to explain the rules that govern these hearings. Before the hearing begins, city staff will give a report. The report will list the criteria that govern the city's decision. After the staff report, the hearing will be open for other speakers. The applicant will speak first and may ask for rebuttal time. Following the applicant, any other interested person will be allowed to speak. Any testimony, argument, or evidence you give must relate to the criteria listed in the staff report or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations that you believe apply to the decision. If you fail to raise an issue or do not give the commission sufficient information so that the commission and any party can respond, you will not be able to appeal that issue to the Land Use Board of Appeals. If you do not raise constitutional or other issues about any proposed condition with specificity so that the commission can respond to that issue, you will not be able to bring a court action for damages. Before the hearing is closed, anyone who needs more time to present evidence must ask for more time. If you ask, the hearing will be continued, or the record will be kept open, and you will have at least 7 days to present additional written evidence.
Thank you. In order to proceed through this evening's agenda in a timely manner, except at the Commission's request, applicants giving testimony tonight will be given 10 minutes to present their application. Individuals who have comments about the application will be given 3 minutes, or 5 minutes if representing a group or organization, and 5 minutes will be given to the applicant for rebuttal. Agenda item 50.1, DCA-26-084. Consideration of a legislative amendment to Chapter 10 of the Medford Municipal Code related to signage allowances for P1 zones. The applicant and agent is City of Medford. Planner is Liz Hamblin. Staff requests to continue this item indefinitely. Are there any persons in the audience that wish to speak regarding this project? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Chair, I move to continue DCA-26-084 indefinitely.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, Kaylee, may we have a roll call, please?
E.J. McManus,
Yes.
Larry Busco,
Yes.
Mark McKechnie,
Yes.
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
Rachel Bennett,
Yes?
Jeff Thomas.
Yes.
We have 6 yeses.
All right, motion passes. Item 50.2, PUD-22-092, LDS-26-093, and ZC-22-094. Consideration of a request to remove conditions of approval from the Stewart Meadows PUD and subdivision requiring the extension of Myers Lane and the extension of a public pedestrian easement to Myers Lane from the westerly property line. The subject area is south of Garfield Street and west of Anton Drive and is zoned community commercial and light industrial and includes a restricted zoning administrative mapping overlay. The applicant is Kogap Enterprises, Inc. The agent is Mays and Associates, Inc. Planner is Kelly Aiken. Staff requests to continue this item to the September 10, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. If there are members in the audience that have come to testify on this agenda item, please come forward and the Planning Commission will hear your testimony at this time. Please keep in mind your questions may be answered at the September 10, 2026 meeting. There will not be any decisions made this evening on this agenda item. All right. Seeing no public comment, may I have a motion, please?
Chair, I move to continue PUD-22-092 as well as LDS-22-093 and ZC-22-094 to the September 10th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
I just have a question for staff. So I know this one has been in front of us many times. Are we concerned about the 120 days? On
No,
this
sir.
one? Okay, thank you.
No other comments? Kaylee, may we have a roll call, please?
Mark McKechnie,
Yes.
Rachel Bennett,
Yes?
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
Larry Busco,
Yes.
E.J. McManus,
Yes.
Jeff Thomas.
Yes.
We have 6 yeses.
Motion passes. All right. Item 50.3, ZC-26-134. Consideration of a proposal requesting to rezone 45.4 acres of a 61.3 acre tax lot within the 106-acre Chrissy Crest Urbanization Plan area from SFR 00 to SFR 2, SFR 4, SFR 6, and MFR 20. Site is fronted by Hillcrest Road to the north and Cherry Lane to the west, and is designated urban residential and urban high-density residential with an exclusive agricultural overlay. The applicants are Alan and Darlene Hansen et al. Agent is CSA Planning Limited and AKS Company. Planner is Keegan Benson. Does any commissioner have any conflict of interest or ex parte contact to disclose regarding this application? Does anyone in attendance wish to question the commission as to conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts? Seeing none, may we have a staff report?
Thank you, Chair. I'm Kagan Benson with the Planning Department, and I'll be presenting on ZC 26134, and I'll start with the legal requirements. The approval authority for a zone change is specified in the Medford Land Development Code at section 10.110, subsection 4. The Planning Commission is the approving authority for that zone change, which is a type 3 quasi-judicial decision. The zone change criteria are presented in the code at MLDC 10.204. There is a truncated version on the screen, and you have the full criteria in your staff report. Summary of the project. First, we'll touch on the project history. This zone change is resulting from an annexation and urbanization that were done in 2024. As part of that, I want to mention it now because it won't make sense later. The applicants were required to do mitigation by ODF and W to get that area annexed into the city. And then as a condition before the city agreed to approve a zone change, that mitigation had to be performed, and it has been, and I'll touch on that later. All right, let's get into the project itself. The zone change would cover 62 gross acres within the 106-acre Chrissy Crest Urbanization Plan area. What we see on the screen there in color is the entire 106 acres, and then the 62 gross acres will become clear in a second. The area is got a general land use plan designation of UR, or urban residential, in the yellow, and UH, urban high density residential, in the red there. The zone is SFR 00, which is the city's holding zone for areas that have been recently annexed, and it allows a single-family residential, one dwelling unit per the existing lot. There is an exclusive agricultural overlay, which will remain on the area. And there is the zoning plan from the urbanization layout. So the proposal itself is zone change from SFR 00 for 45.4 acres of the 62-acre tax lot in accordance with approved urbanization plan UP 24214. We'll look at the surrounding site. To the north, immediately to the north, is unincorporated vacant land. Beyond that is residential SFR 2. To the south is unincorporated and vacant land. To the east is unincorporated and vacant land. And then to the west, immediately adjacent, is unincorporated vacant land with the city of Medford off in the distance. Summary of proposal. So the zone change from SFR 00 will be in the following locations and amounts. 5.9 acres to be rezoned as SFR 2 in the location shown on the screen. This is 0.8 to 2 dwelling units per gross acre. 25.8 acres as SFR 4. 5.4 acres as SFR 6. 8.3 acres MFR 20. And then 16 acres that are remaining to retain the existing SFR 00 zoning. And I'll show you how that corresponds to the urbanization plan layout, which you can see there on the screen. And then they're also in the amounts to get the minimum dwelling unit yield required by that urbanization plan. So that's where the very specific numbers come from. For issues and analysis, look at the zone change applicable criteria. First, the proposed zone has to be consistent with the TSP and the General Land Use Plan designation. So as we saw earlier, compliance with the GLUP was demonstrated, and the Transportation System Plan was examined by Public Works. No conditions pertaining to street capacity, or access were requested by Public Works with this application, so the Commission can find this criterion has been satisfied. Next are the locational requirements specified for zone change to SFR2. So for zone changes to SFR2, the zoning shall be approved if at least 70% of the area proposed exceeds a slope of 15%, or if other environmental constraints restrict the capacity of the land to support higher densities. So I've got the urbanization plan up there to show that the zoning was expected, and then in the bottom right is the slope map showing the steep slopes that are adjacent to the SFR2 zones. The applicant makes the point that the steep slopes make it difficult to construct the roads needed, and so that is why, even though the areas themselves aren't steeply sloped, they are restricted to the SFR2 density. And there are no locational criteria for zone changes to SFR 4, 6, or MFR 20, so the Commission can find the criterion has been satisfied. The third criterion is facility adequacy. This will look at storm drainage, sanitary sewer, and water facilities, as well as adequate streets and street capacity, which we already touched on. The Commission should have received a revised staff report, and I'll be updating this into a Commission report afterwards to reflect that as well. But for sanitary sewer, Public Works recommends the zone change be restricted until the following is completed. And they have some language there. And then future development, they lay out some different conditions for the applicant here as well. And these are captured in Exhibit A, conditions of approval that will go with this. For the water, this was judged by Medford Water Commission, and it included no conditions for Phase 2, but Phase 1 had several. That report includes 4 conditions of approval, which are required to be met, and those are also included in Exhibit A. And the Commission can find this criterion is met or can be met with the imposition of conditions of approval included in Exhibit A. The transportation system, which we touched on already, no conditions pertaining to street capacity, or access are requested. The Commission can find this criterion has been satisfied. We did receive 2 public comments, one yesterday and one today. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over the other agency comments. So we've got a comment from Jackson County Roads. They just said that they commented on the urbanization plan and the annexation, and they would like to be notified of future development proposals. And ODFW wrote a letter that I'll read a portion of. They said they appreciate the City of Medford's consistency in adhering to the original conditions of approval adopted by the City Council, and by waiting for these mitigation terms to be completed by the applicant before moving forward with issuing rezoning and development decisions and permits. ODFW believes this mitigation project will allow for responsible growth and has added additional permanent protection for existing open space adjacent to mapped winter range, while also providing funds for habitat enhancement within mapped winter range, all elements needed by migratory black-tailed deer and Roosevelt elk here in Jackson County. So I wanted to point that out and say thank you to OFW and the applicant for meeting those mitigation requirements. We got 2 public comments, which I mentioned. The Commission got copies of these today. One was from L. Powell, and we got another one from Denny and Jane Conrad, who also commented on the original urbanization plan. And those original comments are in the packet for today as well. Findings and conclusions. For criterion 1, consistency with TSP and GLUP designation. The Commission can find this criterion is met. For criterion 2, the locational criteria, Commission can find this criteria has been satisfied. And criterion 3, the Commission can find that with the imposition of conditions contained within Exhibit A, this criterion has been met. So the recommendation would be to adopt the findings as recommended by staff and direct staff to prepare the final order for approval of ZC 26134 per the staff report dated August 20th, 2026, including Exhibits A1 through N, including Exhibits A1, H1, M, and N. Thank you, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, Kagan. Does the commission have any questions for staff?
Sorry, Kagan, I probably could have looked this up. Well, I could have, but I can't get my iPad to work. On the roads, is this county jurisdiction or city jurisdiction on those?
City jurisdiction, I believe, let's see if we can, up until, well, let's get to the zoning. I think that'll show us. So there we can see where the zoning overlaps the road. That would be city jurisdiction.
So at development, they'd have to improve the roads adjacent to whatever the standard is for whatever kind of road, type of road it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, thanks.
Any other questions? If not, I have one. The letter received from L. Powell about the noticing, any thoughts to speak to those concerns as raised, whether the noticing was timely and appropriately accomplished?
I did prepare a slide in case asked. So I'll show this. AKS, one of the comments in her letter was that, there was only one sign. The public noticing requirements require we have a sign for every 600 feet of road and every street frontage. So you can see the signs were posted at 3 locations. I understand she had trouble using the QR code. I didn't have that same issue, and I was able to find this in the agenda for tonight's meeting, but it is my job, so
Sure.
probably easier
So you know
for
where to
me
look?
than some, yeah.
All right. Okay. Works for me. If there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. May we please hear from the applicant or their agent?
Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Jay Harlan with CSA Planning and AKS Company with offices at 4497 Brown Ridge here in Medford. Represent the longtime owners of this property. Don't really have a lot to add. Keegan did a thorough presentation of the zone change. We think all the requirements are met when it's consistent with the urbanization plan, and we'd request the Commission approve it tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the Commission may have.
All right. Any question from commissioners? Commissioner McKechnie.
Yes, Jay. So presume you've read the staff report and their recommendations. Any issues with recommendations that or criteria, conditions of
The
approval?
conditions, no, so there, it's mainly concerns public facilities, right? And so transportation system, everything operates appropriately according to the traffic engineer's analysis. Water's available to the site, but there's 2 different pressure zones, and it's there, but on the upper portion, there's a fire flow issue, right? And talked to fire about it, and water, there may be some units you can do before you have to do something, but according to their model, there's essentially a section of pipe kind of that runs from that tank up on the side of Roxanne that's 1,600 feet or so, that if you upgrade that, then they calculate the fire flows will be adequate. In the grand scheme of off-site improvements, it's not that much relative to a zone change of this size. And then the other ones are the sewer ones. One of those projects that Alina has identified, my understanding is it's recommended in the Public Works biennium budget to go in the next biennium. So when you work out the timing of everything you have to do for getting subdivision approval and then engineering and then building it and actually having houses that have sewer, that project, in the best case scenario, that project should be done before actual sewer would flow from this project. And then the other project is one that, the property owners, I think, will work with Hillcrest to see if there's something more economic and to do if this project is developing in advance of them rerouting that sewer. But there is an existing easement, and so if it can't be worked out, you do that chunk of pipe, and then it works fine. So
Okay.
so we're fine with it.
What about the storm? I thought I read in the staff report that they were a little concerned about storm not being able to tie into anything other than flowing on the neighbor's property.
So with respect to that, I mean, there's a lot that goes into Oregon drainage law, but essentially the question there was, I mean, the neighbor's property is the city's property, it's Parks. And really the question there was, is Parks okay with pipe? And if you're not okay with the pipe, then you're going to end up with a bunch of dispersion trenches and get the same amount of water spread across an area. And Parks was like, no, I think we'd rather have a pipe. That was the overall, you end up with a couple pipes because it goes a couple different directions, but that was the overall outcome of that. And from the property owner's perspective, we're not a big fan of dispersion trenches. You do them when you have to do them, but a pipe is preferable.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Wish to reserve time for rebuttal?
Sure.
Fantastic. All right. Are there persons in the audience that would like to speak regarding this application? If you wish to speak, please come forward to the podium, sign in if you have not already done so. Tell us your name and address and offer your testimony for consideration to the commission. Seeing no one. Is there anyone on Zoom who needs to testify? Wonderful. Staff have any additional comments?
No, Chair.
All right. Commission have any additional questions for staff or council? All right. I'm assuming no rebuttal testimony? Wonderful. Then we will close the public hearing. And may I have a motion, please?
Chair, I move to adopt the findings as recommended by staff and adopt the final order for approval of ZC-26-134 per the staff report dated August 20th, 2026, including Exhibits A through N.
And is that also, we've got a number of additional exhibits, if you want to fold them in.
As well as A1 and H1.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Kaylee, may we have a roll call, please?
E.J. McManus,
Yes.
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
Rachel Bennett,
Yes.
Mark McKechnie,
Yes.
Jeff Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Besco.
Yes.
We have 6 yeses.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item 50.4, ZC-26-187, consideration of a proposal to rezone 46.17 acres within the 47.17 gross acres of 2 undeveloped tax lots. Request is to rezone from heavy industrial to heavy commercial to be consistent with the GLUP designation of commercial. Site is located in northeast Medford at the western terminus of Kingsley Drive and lies within the airport radar and airport area of concern zoning overlays. Applicant is Jackson County. Agent is Rogue Planning and Development Services, LLC. Planner is Kagan Benson. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest or ex parte contact to disclose regarding this application? Does anyone in attendance wish to question the commission as to conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts? Seeing none, may we have a staff report?
Thank you, Chair. Kagan Benson again. I'll be presenting on ZC 26187, and we'll start with those same legal requirements. The Planning Commission is the approval authority under MLDC 10.110 subsection 4 for a zone change, which is a type 3 quasi-judicial decision. This has 3 criteria that have to be followed. They're presented on the screen and in the staff report, and we'll go over them in detail. The summary of the project, I'll point out this zone change was applied for with a site plan and architectural review with an exception request and a conditional use permit, which we will hear later this evening. The site plan and architectural review went in front of the commission last Friday, and it was approved. That was for a 27,233 square foot facility, And I'll actually get into some of those details here in a minute. So this zone change would be a condition of approval for that site plan because it brings the zoning into compliance or with the GLUP. For this project, the zone change, it'll be for 2 parcels totaling 47.17 acres, 46.17 of those to be rezoned, which matches the GLUP designation. The GLUP is commercial. The current zoning is heavy industrial. The overlays are airport area of concern and airport radar. The proposal is to rezone that county-owned property as CH to conform with the GLUP designation. Surrounding site to the north, it is zoned heavy industrial and it is vacant or industrial use. To the south, it is zoned light industrial and it is vacant. To the east, zoned heavy industrial and there are commercial uses. The ones that abut the property are an anodization business to the north there and then a construction warehouse to the south. And then to the west, it is zoned general industrial. Immediately to the west is the Rogue Valley Expressway, and it's vacant beyond that. For the proposal, it would be a zone change from IH, heavy industrial, to CH, heavy commercial. The change would bring the zoning into compliance with the commercial GLUP designation and is a condition of approval for AC 26188. Issues and analysis. First, we go with the consistency with Transportation System Plan and the GLUP. We have demonstrated consistency with the GLUP. For the Transportation System Plan, the applicant performed a TIA through the Southern Oregon Transportation Engineering LLC. Public Works has examined this. The applicant proposed a trip cap stipulation, which Public Works has agreed to. The analysis concludes the proposed zone change from IH to CH can be approved with the following conditions, and those conditions are captured in the conditions of approval in Exhibit A. For the locational criteria, for zone changes to heavy commercial, the code requires 2 things: that the heavy commercial zone fronts upon an arterial street or state highway. This site has frontage on the Rogue Valley Expressway, which is a principal arterial. That portion of the criterion is met. And secondly, the CH zone may abut several zones. However, it is not usually considered suitable if abutting any residential or IH zones, which this zone would abut IH or heavy industrial. So if it does do that, the applicant can show it would be suitable pursuant to subsections B5, and those state that the subject property has been cited on the general land use plan map with a GLUP map designation that allows only one zone that does not apply, or at least 50% of the subject property's boundaries abut zones that are expressly allowed under the criteria in subsection B3 or B4 above. The proposed project complies with B5B, which requires that at least 50% of the subject property's boundaries abut zones that are expressly allowed. The subject property abuts general industrial and light industrial zoning from more than 50% of the property boundaries, and the commission can find this criterion is met. Thirdly, we'll be looking at facility adequacy. For sanitary sewer, the report by Public Works states that the site lies within the Rogue Valley sewer area. RVSS did not submit a comment specifically for this project, but they did for the Jackson County Dog Shelter site plan, and they confirmed there is an existing sewer main in the area and that sewer service was available. Accordingly, the commission can find the sanitary sewer services, facilities, and capacity are adequate or can be made to be adequate to serve the area of the requested zone change. For storm drainage facilities, the Public Works exhibit states the applicant's options and restrictions, and it makes it clear that they are able to develop facilities to bring it into compliance. Accordingly, the commission can find that with the imposition of conditions of approval, adequate storm drainage facilities can be developed. And then water facilities, this is judged by the Medford Water Commission. Their report is in Exhibit E, and they have no conditions of approval for the proposed zone change. For streets, I guess, I should go back to no additional conditions outside of those specified here were required for streets. So, findings and conclusions. Regarding criteria 1, there is adequate evidence in the record to demonstrate the proposal is consistent with the general land use plan map designation, and consistency with the transportation system plan has been demonstrated and will be ensured with the imposition of conditions of approval specified in Exhibit A. The Commission can find this criterion is met. Regarding criterion 2, for zone changes to heavy commercial, the code requires that the site has frontage on an arterial street, which it does, and that it abuts certain zoning, and it complies with this criterion as well. And criterion 3, facility adequacy, with the reports as in Exhibits D and E, Category A facility adequacy has been demonstrated or can be met. And the Commission can find this criterion is met as well. Recommendation, adopt the findings as supplemented by this report and direct staff to prepare a final order for approval of ZC 26187 per the staff report dated August 20th, 2026, including Exhibits A through G. Thank you, and questions?
Thank you, Kagan. Any questions for staff? Commissioner Pulver.
So on the, I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult, but on the criterion 2.1, as it relates to the zoning and abutting a major arterial or highway, I mean, I assume the reason for that criteria is so that commercial traffic can move, freely to and from the site for whatever the use is. But obviously with the expressway, that's not really reality. So I guess I think it's a curious issue. So I was curious if you guys had any thoughts on that.
I interpret it as frontage versus access. It has frontage. The reasons why is, I think Kipling, it's not for me to wonder why. So access v. frontage.
Tennyson, but close.
So that was just my interpretation of it, was frontage, and it has frontage, even if it can't have access.
Kelly, you want to weigh in at all of that?
Yeah, sure. So Kagan's correct on it doesn't require access, just frontage. Lear Way will also bisect the property. So there is going to be a higher order street that runs north-south through there. You can see where it's going.
Okay, that's what kind of cuts through there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I don't think it's an
arterial or something?
I think it's a collector.
Collector, okay.
Yeah. But there is additional higher order access coming soon to a project near you.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right. All right, we'll pause there. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And may we hear from the applicant or their agent?
Good evening, Commissioners. Amy Gunter, Road Planning and Development Services. I am here on behalf of the property owner and applicant, Jackson County. The project design team, KSW Architecture, RF&A Architecture, AKS Forestry Engineering Partners, Marquis and Associates, Terrain Landscape Architecture, and Southern Oregon Transportation Engineering. Kagan did a fabulous presentation regarding the requested zone change, and there's not a lot more to add to it. I will address the question about the arterial street and frontage. My understanding, and I think I explained it in the application as well, is you actually can't get access from an arterial street per code. So unless if you have other frontages, and so even if we had access, say, to an arterial road there, we wouldn't be able to use it. We'd have to take our other accesses. So it felt funny at first, yes, because of it not having access, but it doesn't say access. It just talks about frontage. And then looking at other streets around town, that is the case. You can't take access. You just get frontage. That's all I really have to say about that. I don't think I need to save any time for rebuttal if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? I have a question then.
Yes.
It mentions in the application the future plans for the southern parcel being a correctional facility, a court, and something else. Is that a likely plan? Is it a possible plan? Or is it like, barring unforeseen circumstances, this is what we're going to do with the southern parcel?
The county's goal is to consolidate government services on this property. The zone change from industrial, which doesn't allow for all the types of functions that happen at a jail type of facility, are not allowed in some of the different commercial zones, which is why we landed on the heavy commercial. The goal is to start consolidating county services to this large property that they do own. So things will happen there. I don't know what the timeline is exactly. This is step one due to the condition of the current facilities.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
If there are no other questions, you want to reserve rebuttal time just in case?
I'll do so. Thank you.
Wonderful. Are there persons in the audience that would like to speak regarding this application? If you wish to speak, please come forward to the podium, sign in if you have not already done so, tell us your name and address, and offer your testimony for consideration by the commission. Seeing no takers. Anyone on Zoom that's testifying? All right. Does staff have any additional comments?
No, Chair.
All right. Does the commission have any additional questions for staff or council? All right. No rebuttal testimony then, I imagine? No. Wonderful. Okay, we will close the public hearing. And is there a motion for consideration?
Chair, I move to adopt the findings as recommended by staff and direct staff to prepare a final order for approval of ZC-26-187 per the staff report dated August 20th, 2026, including exhibits A through G.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? Well, I will mention, I understand that this application meets all the criteria and, can't really move too far outside of that lane, but I also, in good conscience, will not approve an application that proposes construction of a correctional facility, so I intend to abstain from the vote. And with that, Kaylee, may we have a roll call, please?
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
Larry Busco,
Yes.
Jeff Thomas.
Yes.
Mark McKechnie,
Yes.
EJ McManus,
Yes.
Rachel Bennett.
Abstain.
We have 5 yeses and 1 abstention.
All right, motion passes. Item 50.5, CUP-26-191, consideration of a proposal to reduce the setback requirement for a dog care facility specified by MLDC 10.813 1B2 from 200 feet to 60 feet. The setback reduction request would apply to the 27,233 square foot facility proposed by application AC-26-188 on a single 27.82 net acre parcel. Site is located in northeast Medford at the western terminus of Kingsley Drive, with frontage along Grumman and Kingsley Drives. Parcel is GLUP designated commercial, zoned heavy industrial, and lies within the airport radar and airport area of concern overlays. The applicant is Jackson County, the agent is Rogue Planning and Development Services LLC, and the planner is Kagan Benson. Does any commissioner have any conflict of interest or ex parte contact to disclose regarding this application? Does anyone in attendance wish to question the commission as to conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts? Seeing none, Kagan, may we have a staff report?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be presenting on CUP 26191. Going into the legal requirements, again, Kagan Benson. So the zone change should not be up at the top, but the approval authority is still MLDC 10.110 subsection 4 for this conditional use permit, which is a type 3 quasi-judicial decision, with the Planning Commission as the approving authority. The application to be reviewed for compliance with the criteria for a conditional use permit specified at 10.184. Before I get into the criteria, I wanted to briefly explain the need for this conditional use permit. It's a bit twisted. In Code Chapter Code Section 10.337, there's a uses table for uses allowed in commercial and industrial properties. This use as an animal shelter or a dog shelter isn't directly applicable to any of these. You find the best one, that's at 075, animal services, except veterinary. And we check the requested heavy commercial zoning, and we can see that it is permitted, but with special use regulations and a conditional use permit at 10.813. This is for kennels, canine daycares, riding academies, and public stables. For kennels and canine daycares, they shall adhere to the following: mitigate odor, dust, noise, and drainage. And all buildings and outdoor portions of kennels and outdoor canine daycares shall be located not less than 200 feet from any property line. And at the bottom of this section, subsection D, a kennel or outdoor canine daycare may petition to reduce that setback requirement via the conditional use permit process, but in no case shall it be reduced to less than 50 feet. So that leads us to the conditional use process, and the criteria that it will be examined for is that the development proposal will cause no significant adverse impact on the livability value or appropriate development of abutting property or the surrounding area when compared to the impacts of permitted development that is not classified as conditional. Or two, the development proposal is in the public interest, and although the development proposal may cause some adverse impacts, conditions have been imposed by the Planning Commission to produce a balance between the conflicting interests. In authorizing a conditional use permit, the Planning Commission may impose any of the following conditions, and those are listed in the staff report in their entirety. As a summary, so it's at the 27.82 acres site for the dog shelter facility. The GLUP is commercial. The zoning is heavy industrial, but we've just seen the heavy commercial. Overlays, airport area concern, airport radar. Proposal was construct a 27,233 square foot facility, and the conditional use permit is to reduce the required setbacks from 200 feet to 60 feet. Here is a site plan for that. Oh, should have left it up a little longer. So here's a site plan for that dog shelter, and I'll show you where those setbacks are at here in 1 second. We just looked at this, so I will fly through it to the, I will fly forward. To the north, it's zoned heavy industrial and vacant industrial. To the south, it's heavy industrial zoning and vacant. To the east, heavy industrial with commercial uses. And to the west of this site is actually the county's property, heavy industrial, vacant, and then to the far west is the Rogue Valley Expressway. So summary of proposal, I've got some stats up there about the dog shelter itself, 27,000 plus square foot, 91 kennel run spaces, medical surgery center, admin and support areas, public parking, staff parking. For the conditional use permit to reduce these setbacks, there is an example, is the shortest setback, that is 60 feet, and that is what the applicant is requesting the minimum be changed to. For the issues and analysis, we'll look at that first criterion. The development proposal will cause no significant adverse impact on the livability value or appropriate development of abutting property or the surrounding area when compared to the impacts of permitted development that is not classified as conditional. The applicant has provided findings to show how they meet this criterion. They make the argument that it will cause no significant adverse impacts on the area. Explain the adjacent uses are industrial level uses. No impacts on the abutting property. They also explain how the proposed site layout mitigates impacts. They hired Rawhouse, Friedenfeld, and Associate Architects. Hopefully I pronounced that somewhat close to correct. And they designed it to minimize the impacts on adjacent properties. I've just got a big picture of the site plan here with the property line in red so that if we need to come back and ask questions on it, we have it here. For findings and conclusions, for the approval criteria, Based on the submitted findings in Exhibit B and the staff report, the commission could find this application is consistent with MLDC 10.184 subsection 3A1. For the additional conditions, staff considered each of these conditions and does not recommend any conditions be applied with this permit. Recommendation is to adopt the findings as recommended by staff and direct staff to prepare the final order for approval of CUP 26191 per the staff report dated August 20th, 2026, including Exhibits A through H. That is all.
Thank you, Kagan.
Thank you.
Any questions from commissioners for staff? Commissioner McKechnie.
Yes, hi, Kagan. Hey, would you mind going back to the site plan? Just for purposes of clarification. So,
Absolutely.
you identified the 60-foot and up to 6, the current building that's designed here is 60 feet, but that 60 feet actually applies to the whole property, is that correct? So if they were going to say, do an expansion on the south side of what they call the secure staff parking, and as long as the addition was no closer than 60 feet to that south property line, that would not violate the conditions of the conditional use, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
Any other questions? Commissioner Busco.
Kagan, I was just curious. Was there any effort made to contact the neighbor who's going to be, the closest there, that might be affected by the noise, to make sure that, just to kind of get his consensus?
I did not reach out to him, Commissioner. I haven't asked the applicant, but
So we went through the site plan
Okay.
at our meeting last Friday, and those questions were answered.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
thank you.
All right, I guess now, where am I at here? Fantastic. Public hearing for the application is now open, and can we please hear from the applicant or their agent?
Can I pull up your site plan slide? Thank you. Again, Amy Gunter, Road Planning and Development Services. Thank you. So the conditional use permit portion of the request is to reduce the setback. Did want to show that, I don't know the best way to show this on the screen. Can you see the mouse? So the animals will be kept over in this portion of the building, and this is where they'll be outside, which is about 160 feet from this property line. There are some like holding kennels when they bring dogs in the back door and put them into kennels. There are some holding kennels back here, but it's inside the concrete block building, so chances of hearing them outside would be slim. The folks from Anadex were not directly reached out to. They've been out there when they've done some site visits. The type of use that they're doing is pretty noisy and industrial, so our impact will be pretty limited to them, and they're pretty far away from the property line as well. The kennel facility has been designed by local architects, KSW, under the guidance of renowned architects RF&A. They design medical veterinarian kennel facilities nationwide, and they've been sort of overseeing and guiding this project to assure all components of the care and well-being of the dogs at the shelter and staff are incorporated. It's been designed in accordance with the Association of Shelter and Veterinarian Guidelines and is consistent with Oregon revised statutes regarding dog shelters and kennels as they apply to county animal control offices. A question was asked at the SPAC hearing regarding why do we just keep calling it a dog shelter? And that is because the state mandates that counties provide care for dogs. There are not state mandates for cats. Jackson County, a number of years ago, essentially worked towards meeting that mandate, and they only have some cats at their facility, but they are not a cat adoption facility. There's other organizations that handle that in the county. So though there are some other animals here, primarily this is only a dog shelter. So that just clarifies that if anybody's wondering why we're explicitly calling it a dog shelter. So we feel that the increased separation between the actual outdoor areas of the animals and the dog run areas, and then just the few animals that could be in the building, decrease any of the outward impacts of the critters. And then, let's see, the SPAC Commission did recommend unanimous approval, and even the pathway systems, like where the dogs will be walking, those aren't really the barkers, but that's for the training grounds. We tried to keep them away as well. And let me see, with the trip cap, both for zone change and for this, with the 9,400 trips potential, we're way under that with the dog shelter. If they could get 9,400 trips at dog shelters, we wouldn't have dog shelters. So, but we feel that the city can find that this proposal complies with the criteria for the conditional use permit, and that it'll be a great place for new dogs and the dogs that we have in the county and county employees, and get them out of that location they're at. Are there any questions of me?
Questions from commissioners? I guess not. Reserve rebuttal time then?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, are there persons in the audience that would like to speak regarding this application? If you would like to speak, please come forward to the podium, sign in. If you've not already done so, tell us your name and address and offer your testimony for consideration. Seeing none. Anyone on Zoom? Fantastic. Does staff have any additional comments?
I'll just point out that the conditional use permit would expire in 2 years if that use hasn't been implemented.
Okay.
Kagan, is that open for business, or what is that 2-year cap to?
What was the beginning of your question,
Sorry,
Commissioner?
well, is it when they're open for business? I mean, if you said it has a 2-year life, and so I guess it's going to be difficult. I mean, they got to get moving if they're going to.
The way that the code is written, it says until the use is implemented. I interpreted that as at least beginning construction on the dog shelter. But.
Okay, thanks.
Any additional questions for staff or council from the commission? All right. I guess no rebuttal testimony is needed then, and we'll close the public hearing. And can we have a motion for consideration?
Chair, I move to adopt the findings as recommended by staff and direct staff to prepare the final order for approval of CUP-26-191 per the staff report dated August 20, 2026, including exhibits A through H.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Seeing none, Kaylee, may we have a roll call?
Jeff Thomas.
Yes.
EJ McManus.
Yes.
Larry Besco.
Yes.
Mark McKechnie.
Yes.
Rachel Bennett.
Yes.
Jared Pulver.
Yes.
We have 6 yeses.
All right. Motion passes. Moving on to item 60, as this concludes our public hearings. Presentation of report 60.1 Transportation Commission.
Yeah, we're still in timeout, so we haven't had a meeting in a while.
All right. 60.2 Site Plan and Architectural Commission.
Thank you, Chair. We just looked at and discussed and then approved the site plan for the dog care facility, which we changed the zoning to deny it and also adopted the conditional use permit. So it was kind of all done at the same time, and I think it's going to be a great facility for the county.
Nice. 60.3 Planning Department.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. A few things for you. We have business for your next 4 meetings. So both September and October meetings, we have business scheduled. So September 10 and 24, and then October 8 and 22. So we have some stuff coming up for you. We also have study sessions scheduled for September 14th, so a couple weeks yet. We're going to talk about MIRA 2.0. So Planning Commission, you have an obligation to make a recommendation on the new urban renewal area. So we'll have a study session on that on the 14th. Don't forget your upcoming joint session with your city council. That's on September 30, and that will be in the Prescott room in the police department. What else do we have? Last week, city council did approve the appeal code amendment that I've talked about a couple different times. Coming up, I didn't update that. I think that's all I have for you, unless you have questions for me.
Any questions? No?
Easy peasy. Thank
Short
you.
and sweet.
I like it.
Item 70, messages and papers from the chair. I have none. Item 80, city attorney remarks.
No remarks.
Item 90, propositions and remarks from the commission. And seeing none. Item 100, adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.